In the middle of a live national broadcast, something happened that no one in Burkina Faso had ever imagined. A powerful, wealthy, decades-old minister suddenly stood up, pointed a shaking finger at President Ibrahim Traoré, and laughed in his face. The entire hall froze. Cameras kept rolling. The security team instinctively reached for their weapons. People in the crowd gasped, waiting for the explosion, an arrest, a fight, maybe even violence. But what happened next didn't just silence the room. It rewrote the idea of leadership in Africa. Because Ibrahim Traoré didn't react like a dictator. He reacted like a man holding a 20-year-old secret that was about to destroy the old political system. This is where the story truly begins. Before we jump in, tell me in the comments. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? And don't forget to subscribe to join the Commander Ibrahim Traoré community, where real stories inspire real change. Inside the town hall of Bobo Dioulasso, the heat was suffocating. It wasn't just the weather, it was the tension. The air felt heavy, as if a storm was seconds away from breaking. Outside, thousands stood in the streets, frustrated people tired of rising prices, tired of fear, tired of politicians living in luxury while ordinary citizens struggled to buy their next meal. Inside, the hall was packed with business tycoons, senior officials, and the old political giants of Burkina Faso. Many had been in power since Ibrahim was a child. Their imported suits, shiny gold watches, and casual whispers showed exactly how disconnected they were. Most barely even looked at the young soldier standing at the podium. But Ibrahim stood there, calm, confident, wearing his fatigues and iconic red beret. No fancy words, no diplomatic tricks. Just the truth. He was presenting a new austerity plan, asking government leaders to give up bonuses and luxury perks so the country could fund equipment for soldiers risking their lives. We cannot ask the people to tighten their belts, he said firmly, if we ourselves refuse to tighten ours. The hall went silent, but not in agreement. It was the silence of anger. A silence from men who had treated national funds like their personal treasure chest. Then suddenly, scrap. A chair dragged loudly across the floor. Minister Traoré stood up. A political dinosaur. 65 years old. 3 presidents had fallen, but he had always survived, rich, powerful, untouchable. He smirked as he adjusted his silk tie, making sure the cameras caught his moment. "Excuse me, Captain," he boomed. "I think you are confused." Ibrahim paused. "Go ahead, Minister." Traoré chuckled mockingly. "You talk of sacrifice? You talk of taking away our benefits? Listen, boy, when I was signing laws, you were still in diapers. You are just a soldier. Guns and mud, that's what you know. Not governance. You are a temporary visitor in this palace. Don't try to lecture your elders on how to run a country." Gasps filled the room. In West African culture, disrespecting elders is unthinkable. But insulting the president, on live TV, that was political suicide. Yet the minister kept going. "Go back to the barracks, little captain. Let real men handle the finances." The guards reached for their holsters. The camera operators froze. Everyone waited for the explosion. A dictator would have ordered an arrest without hesitation. But Ibrahim simply raised a hand. The guards stopped. He stepped down from the podium, walking slowly toward Traoré. Boots thumping softly on the wooden floor. The minister straightened up, his smirk fading. The room was dead silent. Ibrahim stopped just 2 feet from the older man. And said nothing. The silence was terrifying. Then, he reached into his pocket. Not for a weapon. But for a folded, worn-out piece of paper. He unfolded it without breaking eye contact. "You say you have been signing laws since before I was born," he said quietly. So tell me. Do you remember this signature? He held the paper up. Traore leaned forward. His face turned white. The smirk vanished. His hands began to shake. Ibrahim lifted the document for the cameras. This is not a political disagreement, he said. This is evidence. The cameras zoomed in. The hall leaned forward. Traore began sweating, thick beads running down his forehead, messing up his expensive makeup. He reached to snatch the paper, but Ibrahim pulled it away. This, Ibrahim announced, is a payment authorization from 15 years ago. It approved the transfer of 500 million CFA to build a maternity hospital in Kaya. Murmurs erupted. That money was meant to buy beds, medicine, incubators. It was meant to save lives. Ibrahim stepped closer. But if you visit Kaya today, do you know what you'll find? Silence. A field. An empty field. Goats grazing where babies should have been saved. For 15 years, women have been giving birth in their homes, while babies die due to the lack of a clinic. He tapped the signature. And this, Minister, is your signature. The room exploded in outrage. Journalists typed frantically. Officials looked terrified but remained silent. They knew staying close to Traore would burn them too. Traore shouted desperately, "Fake. It's fake. I signed thousands of documents. I can't remember every project. This is political." But no one supported him. Because everyone knew. Corruption doesn't forget. But criminals pretend they do. Ibrahim calmly replied, "Liars always have weak memories." He turned to the back of the hall and gave an order. "Open the doors." They opened slowly. 2 military police entered. And between them, a nervous man in an oversized, worn-out suit holding a leather briefcase. He limped slightly. His eyes locked onto Minister Traore. Whatever was inside that briefcase was about to bury 20 years of corruption. Every man carries 2 versions of himself. One is the man he shows to the world. And the other is the man he fights when no one is watching. This second version, hidden, insecure, confused, and silently craving validation, is the true reason behind most of his problems. And unless he understands this inner version, he never truly rises. In this part, we uncover the exact inner triggers that control a man without him realizing, and how to break free from them. A man's ego is one of the strongest forces in the universe. It convinces him he's right, even when he's wrong. It makes him chase attention, even when he doesn't need it. And worst of all, it makes him tolerate disrespect just to feel valued. Most men don't chase women. They chase validation disguised as affection. They don't chase luxury. They chase status disguised as success. And they don't chase success for growth. They chase recognition disguised as ambition. This ego trap silently destroys men because it keeps them competing in games that don't matter. A man thinks he's fighting the world. But the truth is, he's fighting pieces of himself that he refuses to fix. Insecurity comes like a soft whisper. It doesn't shout. It doesn't attack. It simply suggests. Maybe you're not enough. Maybe she won't choose you. Maybe others are better. Maybe you don't deserve more. And men, without noticing, start making decisions from fear instead of strength. They overthink texts. They chase people who don't value them. They accept jobs beneath their potential. They smile even when they're disrespected. They pretend to be okay when they're breaking inside. Why? Because insecurity convinces them that losing respect is better than losing approval. But here's the truth. You will always lose more by protecting your insecurity than by facing it. Men today grow up believing masculinity is about never showing emotion, never being vulnerable, never asking for help, acting tough no matter what. It's not about looking hard. It's about being grounded. It's not about dominating others. It's about dominating yourself. People think masculinity is a performance. But masculinity is actually a discipline. Any man can pretend. A strong man doesn't need to. Every man thinks he knows what impresses women. Money? Looks? Height? Style? But in reality, the thing women respect the most is emotional self-control. A man who is not moved by temptation. Not shaken by rejection. Not broken by disrespect. Not addicted to validation. That man becomes magnetic. Because for the first time, she meets a man who doesn't need her, but chooses her. And choosing someone from strength is powerful. Choosing from insecurity is desperation. Men forget this simple truth. The more you chase, the more you prove you're unworthy. The more you hold your ground, the more respect you earn. Some men learn through comfort. But the strongest men learn through pain. Rejection trains your self-respect. Failure teaches you discipline. Loss builds your emotional strength. Loneliness builds your identity. Disappointment teaches you boundaries. Most men avoid pain. But every great man was sculpted by it. A man becomes dangerous when he realizes pain isn't his enemy. Pain is his evolution. A man changes when he hits a point in life where he says, I'm done. Done chasing people. Done explaining himself. Done proving his worth. Done prioritizing the wrong things. Done living like he's not enough. That moment is the birth of his new life. Because true transformation doesn't come from motivation. It comes from frustration. From exhaustion. From finally seeing who he has become and deciding he deserves better. You don't rise because someone inspires you. You rise because you no longer want to remain the version of yourself that pain created. The journey ahead requires clarity, discipline, silence, power, self-respect. Clarity shows you where to go. Discipline pushes you through days you don't want to move. Silence protects your peace. Power grows from mastering your impulses. Self-respect keeps you away from weak decisions. A man becomes unstoppable the day he chooses self-growth over comfort. Principles over emotions. Discipline over desire. Respect over approval. When a man realigns himself with these values, he doesn't chase success, he attracts it. He doesn't hunt validation, he generates it. He doesn't try to be powerful, he becomes power. This part isn't just about ego, insecurity, or masculinity. It's about identifying the invisible chains that control a man from inside. Once he breaks those chains, the world no longer dictates his value. He becomes a man who walks with confidence, speaks with clarity, moves with purpose, loves with strength, and lives with discipline. This is the beginning of his rise. And the journey continues. The celebration had lasted only seconds before everything shattered. One moment, Captain Ibrahim stood at the center of the hall. A symbol of hope. A symbol of change. A symbol of a new future. And in the next moment, a gunshot cut through the cheers, turning the entire hall into a cage of fear. But it wasn't a bullet. It was a man, a traitor, drawing his pistol with lightning speed. Dabo. Ibrahim's old mentor. A man he once trusted with his life. Now pointing a weapon at everything Ibrahim had spent years trying to protect. But the traitor didn't aim at Ibrahim. He knew better. He knew Ibrahim's guards would tear him apart before he could pull the trigger. So instead, he grabbed the closest innocent person he could find. A young journalist standing near the stage, reporting with dreams in her eyes. In a heartbeat, she became his human shield. Her name was Amina. Trembling, terrified, frozen in the spotlight of death. Debo shoved the barrel of his gun against her temple and screamed. "Back off. Everyone back off or I blow her head off." Panic flooded the room. People screamed. Chairs toppled. Cameras shattered on the floor. The hall, moments ago filled with applause, now echoed with terror. Ibrahim's guards raised their rifles. But they couldn't shoot. A single wrong move meant Amina's life. Debo dragged her toward the exit, his voice shaking with both fear and madness. "If anyone follows me, she dies. You hear me, Ibrahim? She dies because of you." Ibrahim stood still, chest heavy, heart burning. He looked at Amina, barely 22, a young journalist who came to report hope, not to die in a political nightmare. He looked at Debo, the man he once called brother, now seconds away from plunging the country into civil war. If Debo escaped, he would rally his corrupt forces. They would burn the nation to the ground. And thousands would die. But if Ibrahim ordered his men to fire, Amina would die on live television. The entire world watching. It wasn't just a choice. It was a moral war happening inside Ibrahim's soul. And in that war, he made a decision no president had ever dared to make. Debo was inching toward the exit. Sweating, shouting, panicking. The tension was unbearable. Ibrahim raised his hand. "Lower your weapons." His guards froze. "Sir. It's an order." "Lower them. Now." Reluctantly, the rifles lowered. Debo hesitated. He wasn't expecting this. "What are you doing, Ibrahim? Don't play games with me." But Ibrahim didn't stop. He took slow, deliberate steps toward Debo, hands raised, palms open. Calm. Steady. Unshaken. "You're holding the wrong hostage, Debo." Debo's eyes narrowed. Ibrahim continued. "You kill her, you gain nothing. My men will end you before her body hits the floor. But imagine, if you had someone more valuable." The hall went silent. A hush swept through the room as Ibrahim declared. "Trade her, for me." Every jaw dropped. Even Debo's hands loosened from shock. "I'm the one you want," Ibrahim said. "I'm the one with codes. With access. With power. Take me, and I guarantee your escape." He unbuckled his pistol, dropped it, kicked it away. No weapon. No protection. Just courage. Amina gasped, tears streaming down her face. Ibrahim stepped even closer, his life now balanced on a madman's trigger finger. For a moment, greed overwhelmed Debo. He shoved Amina aside and aimed the gun at Ibrahim's chest. "You're a fool, Ibrahim." But Debo had forgotten something. He may have taught Ibrahim how to shoot. But Ibrahim learned how to fight long before he ever wore a uniform. The moment the gun swung away from Amina, Ibrahim moved like a bolt of lightning. A slap to the barrel. The gunshot fired into the ceiling. A shoulder ram. Debo staggered, air knocked from his lungs. A twist. The pistol ripped from his grip. Debo reached for a hidden knife. Too slow. Ibrahim swept his legs, sending the traitor crashing to the ground. In seconds, Ibrahim was on top of him. Knee in his spine, gun pressed to his head. "It's over, Debo." The hall erupted. Guards swarmed. Medics rushed to help Amina. People who were hiding under tables began to stand. And then applause exploded. A thunderous roar for their president who gave up his life to save a stranger. But Dabo wasn't done. Blood dripped from his nose. His eyes were wild. He laughed, a deep, chilling laugh. "You think you won, boy?" he sneered. "You really should check your phone, Mr. President." A shiver ran through Ibrahim. Aide rushed over, face pale. "Sir, the capital, the signal is gone." Ibrahim grabbed the secure phone. Nothing. Just static. Dabo grinned as he was dragged away. "The countdown started 10 minutes ago. And you're already too late." Screens died. Signals vanished. Every TV, radio, and internet line in the capital went black. A video started looping. A masked general announcing that Ibrahim had been removed. And a new council, backed by Dabo's allies, was taking over. It wasn't a military coup. It was a digital coup. A lie so big, people believed it instantly. Ibrahim was hundreds of miles away. By the time he returned, the nation would already be stolen. Security begged him to hide. But Ibrahim shook his head. "If I hide, the lie wins." He ran toward Amina. "Does your camera work?" "Yes, but no broadcast." "We don't need TV. We need the internet." "Can you stream?" Amina nodded. They jumped into a truck. Not toward safety, but toward the highest hill. Under an old tower Dabo's men forgot to shut down. Wind howled. Dust swirled. Amina held a shaking phone. 3, 2, 1, we're live. Ibrahim looked into the camera. "People of Burkina Faso. Do not be afraid. I am here. I am free. And I am coming home." The video spread like wildfire. Thousands saw it. Then millions. Crowds flooded the streets. Tanks were surrounded. Soldiers lowered their guns. The coup collapsed under the weight of a single truth. By dawn, Ibrahim returned to the capital. Not in defeat, but in triumph. Amina interviewed Ibrahim in the palace. The fancy furniture was gone. Electricity was limited. He walked in, thinner, exhausted, but determined. "People call you a hero," Amina said. "How does it feel, to be powerful?" Ibrahim paused. He looked at the city outside, alive again. "Power is not a feeling, Amina. It's a burden." He sat down. "The only power that matters is the power to serve. Now, if you don't mind. The farmers in the north are waiting. They need water, not speeches." Amina smiled. She finally understood. This wasn't a story about a Superman. It was the story of a man who simply refused to give up on his people. And that is why the world calls him the captain of the people.